Hello, Democrats. Welcome to the home stretch of the 2020 election cycle. This election cycle will go down in history as the worst dysfunctional election ever. I absolutely guarantee you between now and the final bell on November 3rd, this president will do something to completely shock and horrify you in order to distract you from how bad a leader is and hopefully discourage you from voting on November 3rd. 190,000 Americans have died of COVID-19. Our countrymen are dying at a rate of 1 every 80 seconds. We have no national testing program because this administration thought that only the blue states were getting sick, not realizing that this infection would spread to the red states. And oh, by the way, this is the United States. We need a national testing program. Administration still hasn't figured out how to get PPE to hospitals and first responders. There's still shortages all over the country. In the worst national health care crisis, our president has his lawyers in court arguing that pre-existing conditions should be reinstated as a reason for insurance companies to deny you coverage. The president decided to stop press conferences because his doctors and scientists were more popular than him. He restarted them, but I don't think you could call this a press conference. What's going on now is basically a bunch of campaign events. 10 million people lost their employer-provided health care during this crisis. An additional 15 million have lost their jobs and are probably not going back to the job they had. The GDP lost a third of its value in 1 quarter. That is the worst in history, worse than the Great Depression. The economy is not working, and everyone except for the ultra-rich are worried about what's going to break next. So let's talk about the fact that 1/5 of our countrymen missed their rent or mortgage payment last month, and they're actually probably 2 months behind. They don't know where they're going to live next month. That's not the worst part about it. This is about to cause a banking crisis because the banks are not getting the money and the money is not flowing through our economy. If you're an American soldier, you have a bounty on your head thanks to our president's good friend, Vladimir Putin. The president refuses to address this issue or even admit that it exists. With an illegal executive order, the president defunded Social Security. It will be bankrupt in 4 years, and we will all be screwed. He broke the post office. I don't know how you break the post office. It's existed since the birth of this country, and his incredibly bad management broke the post office. Multi-million-dollar corporations are struggling to keep their athletes safe from COVID-19 in the middle of this pandemic, and yet our president has forced our schools to go back to classrooms, giving them any money to pay for it to make sure our children are safe in the schools. His campaign strategy to get reelected is to cause a civil war over race issues, divide this country into 2 camps, and actively have us fighting each other. He refuses to condemn violence on all sides. And the worst part about this, beyond any reasonable doubt, he has no plan. There is no plan to fix any of this. There is absolutely no grand strategy to get this country back on its feet. Ask him. Ask his supporters. Ask them how they're going to fix race relationships in this country. How they're going to get the economy started. What are they going to do about people missing their rent and mortgage payments? And how, for the love of God, are we going to stop this virus? So it would seem that this should be an easy win, but it's not. Because here's the simple fact. The people who support him will not change their mind, and they absolutely will vote for him on Election Day. Unfortunately, the Democrats, and the people who don't like him have incredibly bad voting records. And he is actively working to discourage people from voting. So I've got 3 things for you to do to help make sure that all the people that are sick of the tweets, the scandals, and the hate vote on November 3rd so that on November 4th we can start a new chapter in the American story. We're going to start at the bottom of the list with the number 3 way that you can help elect Democrats on November 3rd. It's easy. Everyone can do it. Doesn't cost a thing. It's share socially. You have a network of family, friends, neighbors, colleagues that you socially interact with on a daily basis. And you need to make sure that you are telling them that you are voting for the Democrat and that you are voting on November 3rd. Every interaction you have, you need to make this a priority of making sure they know that you are supporting the Democrats and that Election Day is November 3rd. And if you can, get them to commit to do the same. When I'm talking about social sharing, I'm not just talking about on Facebook and Twitter. I'm talking about every aspect of your life when you're having interactions with people. You need to have conversations about the fact that you're supporting the Democrat, elections November 3rd, and people should join you. In person, on the phone, text messages, email, social media. Have that conversation. Get the lawn sign for your front yard, the bumper sticker for your car, a button for your lapel, and yeah, wear the t-shirt in public. Look, I know this is going to make you uncomfortable, but Trump is an uncomfortable president, and these are strange days. We cannot afford to let one person slip by and not vote on November 3rd because we didn't have a conversation with them. I know what you're thinking. There are hundreds of television commercials out there. Famous people making all sorts of talking head points about why you should vote for Democrats. How on earth are you important? Well, here's the simple fact. You have a shared lifetime of experience with people in your social network. They trust you, they believe in the same things you believe in, and when you start having conversations with them about voting for Democrats, it becomes important to them. Scientists have shown that people trust their family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues more than they trust a television ad or a talking head they've never met. So when you have these conversations, it makes a huge deal in that person's decision to vote. Hopefully I've convinced you that you are more important than a television commercial or a talking head in this election, because you are. So where do we get started? Let's get started by buying some merchandise. Bumper sticker, lawn sign, t-shirt, button, whatever you feel comfortable. I'm sorry, yeah, you are going to have to purchase the merchandise. Why? Because the candidates you're supporting don't have corporate sponsorship. And the merchandise helps pay for the campaign. So it's very important. Don't go bargain shopping. Do not buy from third-party vendors. Why? Well, because if you do, those profits are going to go into the pocket of the vendor, and that vendor is more likely than not also selling Trump merchandise. So instead, go to the website of the candidate you're supporting and look for their campaign store and purchase it from there. So if you're supporting the vice president, go to Joe Biden's website, look for the store, purchase it there. If it's a senator or a congressperson, same thing, go to their website. If you're going local, go to the local state senator, state rep, or your county person. Just go to the website, purchase the merchandise, and then when it comes, make sure you use it. Put the lawn sign out, the bumper sticker on the car, put the button on your jacket, and wear the t-shirt in public. 99% of the interactions you will have in public will be positive. People who are going to be happy to see there's somebody out there supporting the candidate that you're supporting. And a lot of people may not know anything about it, so they'll start asking you questions. Now, you will get the occasional crazy Tea Party Trump person. Here's the thing. Just don't engage. Walk away. It's a free country. You're allowed to vote for whoever you want, and they're allowed to vote for whoever they want. Do not try to convince them that they're voting for the wrong person, because they're wasting your time. Instead, start looking for somebody else who doesn't know who your candidate is, who was just looking for some encouragement. Have positive conversations. So simply, let's get started by buying some merchandise. Let's move from campaign merchandise to campaign content. On a daily basis, campaigns produce a huge amount of content in the hopes of inspiring voters to support them in the upcoming election. You have an established social network that we've already talked about, made up of your family, friends, neighbors, colleagues, and you have a shared life experience with these individuals. So when you see campaign content and you find it inspiring, it's incredibly important that you engage with it. Now, when I say engage with it, I'm not just talking about liking it on Facebook and Twitter. I'm talking about the fact that you need to like, comment, and share this content on your social media feeds. There are two distinct reasons for this. The first reason has to do with that social network we talked about. When you share content on your social media feed, people who are in your network see it. And they have a trusted relationship with you. They have a good opinion. They like you. They have a positive experience. So when they see content appearing on your social media feed, that positive experience transfers to that content. And their first impression of the campaign is a positive one, which of course is the first step to them supporting the campaign. So when you share content on a social media platform, you are gaining that campaign extra voters. Second reason. Social media platforms use algorithms that are made up of two main components: the profiles of the people that use the platform and the content on the platform. They are looking for content that is going to generate more engagement, which will keep people on the platform for longer. So when they see a piece of content generating a lot of engagement, meaning more than just a like, they're seeing comments and shares, they will take a look at the people who are sharing that content and look at their profile, and then find similar profiles so that they can share that same content with those individuals. So basically increasing the amount of time people spend on the platform. So basically, when you share content, when you comment on content, and when you like comment, you are engaging with it at a high level, which means that you're growing the base of people who are seeing the actual content, both inside your social media network and to people who have a similar profile to you. That is why sharing campaign content on your social media platform is huge. But in addition, you need to take that same content out of the social media platforms and into the real world. Talk about it with your friends, in person, on the phone. Send them text messages or email. The more exposure the campaign content gets, the more voters that see it, the more likely those voters will have a positive opinion because it's coming from you, and will engage with the campaign themselves and become supporters. Hope that makes perfect sense to you. Let's talk about the other posts. The posts that piss you off. The posts that your family member posts. The one that's turned every single family get-together since Trump got elected into a nightmare. Remember, that old friend that you didn't know was a bigot, but you've seen all their posts and you're pretty sure they are? I'm talking about the Trump trolls. You have to engage with that content too. I'm not telling you to start fights. I'm telling you to just engage with it and let people know what's going on. Remember, in 2016, the Trump trolls threw out a bunch of lies about Hillary Clinton, and none of us bothered to engage with it because there is no way people could believe how outrageous these lies are. They could believe that they're true. But what we forgot and the Trump campaign knew they were doing is the fact that if you take a bunch of junk and throw it against somebody, some of it will stick. Basically, people see all this smoke, all these bizarro stories, and start to think there's fire. They basically see a bunch of crazy stories, and they know the crazy stories aren't true, but nobody's challenging them. So there must be something else wrong. Well, we can't let that happen again. When you see Trump trolls posting crazy stories about your candidate or about Joe Biden, you need to engage with that content. What you're going to find is there's 3 distinct types of posts. Number 1, distraction. Number 2, not our fault. Number 3, straight up Putin Post. I'm not telling you to start fights. You're not going to convince these people to support Joe Biden. You're never going to convince them not to vote for Donald Trump. You're not getting in arguments. You're simply calling bullshit on bullshit. So if you run into the first type, the distraction post, easy to see. They take an issue that is completely irrelevant, has no impact on anyone whatsoever, and the person who's running for office to get elected can't impact that actual issue. And they try to blow it way out of proportion. When I see this type of post, I simply have a relatively short answer to it. Say it's Trump. President Distraction is trying to distract people from the real issues of the upcoming election. And then I list 3 issues that I think are important. Wow, he really has your number with this post. Done. That's it. If you ever run into the second one, where they're basically trying to blame somebody, well, my standard post for this is simple. While the Republican Trump Party has fallen far, no longer taking responsibility for anything and blaming everything on everyone else, President Lincoln and Reagan would be rolling over in their graves. Simple, sweet, to the point. Last one. The Putin Post. I call it for what it is. I simply make the comment, Vladimir Putin thanks you for posting his propaganda, and be done with it. Regardless of the type of the post, I always end with a line that asks them to like my comment if they're supporting Democrats. So something like, if you're sick of the tweets, the scandals, the hate, like this comment and vote for the Democrats, and be done. We're not trying to start an argument. We're never going to change this person's mind. The point of this is that you want to make sure that anyone who sees their posts knows that it's bullshit, knows that it's deliberately distracting, knows that they're scapegoating somebody else, knows that it's a straight up lie. Just say it and move on. Ask people to like it if they're supporting the Democrats. And what you're going to find out, at least what I've seen, is there's more likes for your comment than there's likes for their actual posts. Once again, we're just keeping them in check. You want to make sure that if there are people out there that are thinking this could possibly be true, you challenge it, and then you're done. Do not respond to any comments to your comment. So, social sharing. First thing you're doing, you're getting out there, you're talking about your friends, your family, you're telling them you're voting for Democrats. Make sure that they're voting for Democrats. Make sure everyone knows November 3rd is the day of the days. Number 2, go out there, get some merchandise, t-shirts, bumper stickers, lawn signs, buttons. Wear it in public, show your color, get the positive vibe out there. Number 3, you see some content out there, make sure you share it. Make sure you comment, and of course, make sure you like it. Get it into your network, build up the profile for the content. Last, but actually not the least, is those angry trolls, the Trump trolls, and all their posts. Do not simply mutter to yourself and look the other way. You need to engage with it, call bullshit on bullshit, and move on. This is the easiest thing to do. Socially engage with people about this election. Make sure they know when they're voting, make sure they know who they're voting for, and where they're actually voting. The next one. Things you can do, a little bit harder. The second thing on my list of ways you can help Democrats is no harder than social sharing, but it does require a significant amount of time. You have to commit to do it. It's postcards. Postcards, you say? What on earth is he talking about? Postcards. Yeah, postcards. If you've been paying attention at all, you know that every talking head, every pundit, every expert says this election comes down to one thing. One thing. Voter turnout. If the Democrats show up, Biden wins. If the Democrats don't show up, 4 more years of Trump. Here's the basic deal. A third of this country are absolute Republicans that will vote for Trump no matter what. They're almost like cultists. In fact, they are. The other 2/3 are not going to vote for him if they vote, and that's the problem. They have really bad voting records. So a whole lot of money and effort is going into trying to make sure the other 2/3 vote on election day, November 3rd. Now, there's a bunch of money, a bunch of science that says that you want to do X, Y, Z, and you should get them to turn out. But what we're finding is that a postcard is probably one of the most effective ways to get this done. Simply a postcard with a nice picture and a handwritten message on the back addressed to the voter and put in the mail is more effective, it appears, than the most expensive campaign mailer on the planet in reminding Democrats to vote. Amazing. A postcard. So, for example, my hometown, Marshfield. It consistently votes Republican, even though the majority of the town is actually registered Democrats. Yeah. The reason that they vote Republican is simple. The Democrats don't show up. So my town committee took it upon themselves to actually make sure these people show up by sending them postcards. And our vice chair of the town committee developed a program. Ghislaine did a great job putting it together and executing it. So I'm going to share it with you, and hopefully you can use it for your town committee. It's simple. You go to the website down below and sign up on our website to get postcards. Gia will then put together a postcard package for you, and you can pick it up at one of the pickup drop-off locations, which is basically town committee members who have volunteered to host them. You go to the pickup location and you get a handy-dandy packet in one of these expensive plastic bags. It's got your name on it, and of course, it's got a packet number. The team's keeping track of the packets so they know who's got what. And the team has put together some instructions and then a list of people who you're writing to. And each person has a postcard. Nothing fancy, just a straight up vote and then a place for a message, the address. Now, our town committee's paying for the postage, so I don't have to put a stamp on it. But the instructions basically give you the outline of what you're supposed to do. And the list is of people in your town, in my town, that meet a certain demographic, in our case, Democrats that don't vote consistently. And I'm going to write them a note on the actual postcard, put their address, and then put it back in the packet and drop it off at my drop-off location. So I have a time restriction that I have to get it done between the two town meetings. 1 month to complete 45 cards. They get dropped in the mail, and then just before election, 2 weeks before election, 1 week before election, depending on how the post office is running, we mail them all at once. So every single Democrat in Marshfield that does not have a good voting record will be reminded November 3rd is election day. It is really easy to do. It does have a time constraint. That's why it's number 2 on my list. But it's also very effective. So if you're interested in helping Marshfield out, we'd love to have your help. Click on the link below, go to our website, send us an email, and we'll send you a packet. On the other hand, I'd recommend you contact your town committee and see if they're doing something like this. Once again, down below in the links, you'll see that I've got a link to all the town committees in Massachusetts. If your town committee is not doing something like this, well, there's tons of organizations that are doing this locally and nationally. Once again, down below, I've got the links to go check it out. So number 2 on my list of things that you can actually do to help Democrats win on November 3rd, postcard. Number 1 on my list, self-identify. And then talk to your friends and family and have them do the same. Sounds simple. Too simple to be my number 1. But you got to understand how campaigns work. They expend 50% of their budget and 75% of their human resources trying to identify people on their call list as supporters. Once they're identified as supporters, they then want to remind them to vote on election day. These call lists are made up of people from the district that meet a certain demographic that make them likely to vote for that actual candidate. And all their effort is based on making sure they reach out to these people and identify them. When you self-identify, you basically pull your name off that list, which means you just saved the campaign a huge amount of money. And you've set yourself up to get reminders. Now, once you've basically self-identified, you then want to go into your social network and identify additional people that are supporting the campaign and tell the campaign about it. Share that information. Those people get off the list as well, saving the campaign more money and getting them into the reminder database. This is number one on my list because it does a lot of things with one simple phone call, one simple email, one click of a form. Gets you off the list, into the reminder database, saves the campaign money and resources because they're no longer trying to get a hold of you. If you factor that with all the people in your social network, you are going to save the campaign a huge amount of effort, a huge amount of money, and you're making sure people are getting into the reminder database so that people will vote on election day. This is number one for a reason. Saves money, saves time, and guarantees people are going to get reminded to vote. In conclusion, there are 3 things you can do to help Democrats win on November 3rd. Starting with self-identifying to campaigns you are supporting and recruiting people in your network to do the same. Second thing you can do is write postcards to people who have bad voting records to make sure that they vote for the Democrats on November 3rd. Third thing you can do, share socially your support for Democrats everywhere to everyone as much as you possibly can. And don't forget to hold the Trump trolls accountable for the posts they put out there. Do not make the same mistake we made in 2016, where we quietly muttered to ourselves about their stupidity and these horrible rumors. Instead, loudly fact-check them and hold them accountable to the same level that you hold yourself accountable. The reality of the situation is we are living in a world where 1/3 of our country has given up on democracy and the rule of law and are simply cultists blindly following their leader. And I absolutely guarantee you that on November 3rd, they will vote for him. That's why we need to work extremely hard to make sure that the remaining 2/3 show up on November 3rd and vote for the Democrat. I cannot overemphasize how important you are to this effort. Do not give in to the national disillusionment and the belief that you cannot make changes. You can and are the most important person in this effort. You can use your social network to change this outcome dramatically. November is coming. It is closer than you think it is. And if we work real hard, hopefully, November 4th will be the start of a new chapter in this American experiment.